maybe take a few minutes of your time. Thanks everybody for coming. When we look at it around us, really what really excites us, they're usually physical pleasures, good food, good steak, good vacation, good swimming, whatever. Usually when it comes to do good deeds, sometimes it's difficult. I have to get out of bed to do something. Who needs it? Why should I even do a favor for somebody? So actually, we're going to go through a story that, doing good deeds, especially with happiness, has a lot of reward. But before that, you see, we have to change our mentality. Why is really doing good deeds such an important thing? Again, I don't know who your famous president is. Let's not get into politics. Whoever your famous president is, doesn't matter. Obama, Biden, Bush, or Trump. Imagine whoever is your favorite is going to ask you, listen, I need you to do me a favor. And you're in the middle of like something that you really enjoy a lot. You're playing a game that you enjoy a lot. Again, anybody that understands the value, wow, the most powerful person in the United States or in the world, United States still the superpower, comes and asks you to do him a favor, it will excite you. So I'm in the middle of eating a pizza. Who cares? I'll have my steak an hour later. So now let's have this mentality about God. Imagine the most benevolent, someone that created the entire world, comes and says, from everybody in the world, I chose you to do this for me. And those are the commandments that God gave to whoever, doesn't matter, Jewish, a Muslim, a Christian, it doesn't matter. We all have our path getting close to God. And God says, I chose you from everybody else to do that good deed. So that should excite us, the most powerful, benevolent being, everything comes from him, asks you to do me a favor, of course. The problem is you don't look at it that way. I'm limited to my physical body, so it's not such an enjoyment. I feel that I have to sacrifice something to do something. Anyway, so we're going to go through actually a story. Thank God we're blessed these days. How many of us have food in our houses for the next month? Most of us, right? Thank God. There was a time that people didn't have what to eat the next day or the next week. Thank God we are blessed. We have everything. Nobody goes to buy food for tomorrow. We buy food for the next 2 weeks. Especially me, I'm a Persian guy and I'm cheap. If things go on, I'm just kidding. When things go on sale, I buy it till next year Passover. Right? I'm just kidding. But I buy a lot of those. You have so much food in the house until the next year. So there was a man, his name was Shabbat. In these days, you don't bind books unless they're valuable, right? Who's in the mood of binding and paying $5-6? Just go buy a new one for $15. But in the olden days, they couldn't print that much. There was a man, his name was Shabbat. The man he made money, he used to go bind books, either personal books or the synagogue's books, until he got to an old age and he couldn't really bind that many books. So he lost a lot of customers. The way he used to work is he used to use half of the money that he makes for the week. The other half he used to buy food for Shabbat, for Sabbath. Right? What's your favorite food for Sabbath, people? Shulman? What is it? Don't be shy, Sheep's eye? No, I'm just kidding. That's Indian food. They have the sheep's eye. Just kidding. What's your favorite food, Miriam? Huh? You don't know? Okay. My favorite used to be as a kid the matzah ball. Right? They have the Persian matzah ball, which is like made out of meat, not from flour or something. But anyways, so he used to actually save some of the money for the food on Shabbat. When he got older, he really didn't have too much money. So what he's going to do to save food for Shabbat? So he decided he's going to have only dry bread the whole week and he's going to have some food for Shabbat. He got even older, he had nothing. It was 1 week that he had no food for Shabbat. So he tells his wife, I'm too proud to borrow money from anyone. I don't want to borrow any money. If it means that I'm going to eat nothing, I'll eat nothing. So he says goodbye to his wife Friday afternoon. And he says, well, I'm not going to come home till later. There's no point to come home. There's no food. Now, to his surprise, when he came back home, he saw the candles are lit. And wow, there's such a beautiful table. All the food is available. There's wine, there's food. So he didn't want to ruin it. He thought his wife definitely borrowed money from someone. Didn't want to ruin it, so he made, his kiddush on the wine. Then they bring these gorgeous fish, whatever, is such a good food. So he says, my wife, I'm disappointed with you. How come you borrowed money? He says, I didn't borrow money from anyone. So how do you make this Shabbat food? He says, well, I had nothing to cook. So I went to the closet. And there's two versions to the story. I looked at my wedding gown that we got married years ago. I found 2 silver buttons attached to it. Other stories say he found a pin that was made out of gold. So I went to the pawn shop and I sold it. I have enough food for this week and next week. Oh, they were like so happy. So after, they eat the fish, he actually takes his wife's hand and he dances around the table. That's something to eat. We don't even know what that means. Come on. We have enough food for next month in our house. Then afterwards, when they had the soup, he takes his wife's hand and he dances again around the table. Then when they had the meat, he again does another dance around the table. So that was, this side of Europe at that time. I'm sure you guys have heard the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Was a very big holy man, and he knew what's happening in the world. He was at his table in a different city, and in the middle of the Friday night meal with his students, he laughed 3 times. So the students asked, Baal Shem Tov, what's going on? Why are you laughing? Nothing funny is happening here. So he says, I'll tell you after Shabbat. So when Shabbat was over, he takes some of his students and he travels to the other side where Shabtai was. So he calls him and he says, Shabtai, I want to see you. So Shabtai comes and says, Baal Shem Tov, did I do anything wrong? He says, no. Tell me what happened Friday night. So he says the whole story. They know they had no money, and the wife goes and sells the buttons or the pin. And we had a wonderful Shabbat, and I danced with my wife 3 times around the table. So Baal Shem Tov says to the students, that's why I laughed those 3 times. He was so happy to not at him. You're going to see why he was laughing. He says when he was dancing 3 times around the table, the angels from heaven came and they joined in his happiness, because he was so happy that he was able to do God's commandment to keep Shabbat properly. Part of keeping Shabbat properly is good food. You could encourage your parents to spend money for Shabbat. It says God actually decides at the beginning of the year how much money you're going to make. There are 3 things that are excluded. One is to pay for the tuition of your kids to study Torah. The more you study, more money you get. The other one is actually when you spend money for Shabbat. The next one is when you help others, you give them charity. You never lose money for giving charity to somebody else. God will never owe you. He'll pay you back. Because you help another human being who's God's creation, doesn't matter Jew or non-Jew, makes no difference. So God will pay you back. Anyway, so that's why Baal Shem Tov laughed 3 times. And he told to Shabtai, and he says, Shabtai, what do you want? I could bless you with a lot of money, or do you want something else? Shabtai had no kids, and he was getting very old. He asked, he wanted to bless with a child. So Baal Shem Tov gave him a blessing, and he said, name your child after me, which is Israel. That was Israel. That was his name. And actually, next year he had a baby boy, and they named him Israel. He came out to be actually the preacher of the city of Kashnitz. But one thing that I wanted to share with you, we don't really, what do you call the word? We don't, there's a good word for it. Maybe it doesn't resonate with us. I'm sorry. Because we're not missing food, thank God. We don't have any physical or, financial problems like them. But the idea of how happy he was that he was able to keep Shabbat could have a lesson for us. Each one of us actually careful with a good deed. Every one of us loves to do one good deed. And actually that good deed that we do, it elevates all the other good things that we do to heaven. We should actually think, I have the merit to be alive. God chose me to do this good deed, and it should be done with enthusiasm.